Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. On Fridays, we talk about the product owner role in Scrum. We talk about patterns and anti-patterns that relate to ours and the team's collaboration with the product owner. And we've also put together a course to help you navigate that relationship. There's 18 modules, nearly 8 hours of tools, techniques, videos, handouts, presentations you can use to help you and your team work better with your product owner. The course is available at bit.ly/coach-your-PO. All lowercase, all one word. That's bit.ly/coach-your-PO. And now, on to the show, the Product Owner Show. Hello everybody, welcome to our TGIF and Product Owner episode this week with Ziryan Salayi. Hey Ziryan, welcome back.
Hey Vasco.
So Fridays are Product Owner days here on the podcast. And of course we do that. We have a whole episode dedicated to the Product Owner because the Product Owner can make or break the success of the team. It's one of those critical roles, just like the Scrum Master. And it's also one of those roles where we need to focus explicitly as Scrum Masters in helping them, in supporting them, in developing their ability to collaborate with the team. So we want to, because of that, we want to explore a bad example and a good example so that we see the contrast as well. So let's start with the bad example, though, Ziryan. Share with us what might have been potentially the worst product owner anti-pattern you've witnessed in your career.
Yeah. The worst one is that the product owner expected me to facilitate a story map session with the stakeholders. And that, of course, I can do it, but the product owner, she contacted me and said, well, Ziryan, we are working on this new feature and we want to invite like all the stakeholders involved. Can you help me? Yeah, sure, I can help you. And 2 weeks later, she came to me. Yeah, Ziryan, do you have a proposal of how you will manage that session? It's like, excuse me? Yeah, because that was what the previous Scrum Master did, and so I don't need to do it. And that's the anti-pattern that I saw. I was like, hold on, wait a minute. You're accountable for your stakeholder management. You're accountable to make sure that you understand your stakeholders, your customers, and you need to be in front of them. You need to be the face, right? Your product, not my product. So we had the SOC, and eventually it turned out that she didn't know how to facilitate a story map session. So she was so focused on the content of the product that she forgot to also get better as a product owner, like product management tools, slicing tools, and everything like that. And I think that's an anti-pattern that I see often. I don't need to work on that because I have a Scrum Master who does it for me.
Yeah, the Scrum Master who's also the secretary, the nanny, the helping hand. And sometimes we need to do that. I'm not saying otherwise, but that should not be the default expectation from the product owner.
He actually said, Vasco, yeah, but Ziryan, Scrum Master, you are a facilitator, so I need you to facilitate this. I was like, all right, that's good. I'm a facilitator of the process. I'm not taking over the process. You're in charge. It's your event. Yes, I will help you because obviously I know about how to facilitate this stuff, but I want you to do it with me so that the next time you can do it by yourself. So
and one of the things that comes to mind immediately from that conversation is that a story mapping workshop or session is very much focused on making decisions about what matters, what doesn't matter, what we do first, what we do later. And of course, that's not the Scrum Master's responsibility. Yeah, we can facilitate those conversations, but at the end of the day, it is about making decisions. It's stakeholders and product owner and of course, with the help of the team, who need to make those decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also asked the product owner, okay, imagine if I'm in front of the group, right? We will have discussion on content of the product. After the workshop, who do you think they will contact if they need any information? Will they contact me or will they contact you? Yeah, obviously they will contact me because they think it's my session. Is that effective? Because I need to translate it and get it back to you. I don't think that's what you need, because you need to be in charge of your stakeholders. You need to have short lines with your stakeholders, not me. And that was for her also an eye-opener. Oh, okay, yeah.
And that reminds me that one of the key things that we need to do with the product owners is really to establish the expectations, right? Mm-hmm. So it's perfectly okay to say that, hey, I expect you, meaning I, Scrum Master, expect you, product owner, to have a story map for the team to use when looking at, what's important for the next sprint and comparing that to the backlog and whatever, or having a vision or whatever. I expect you to have that. And it's very important to have also that conversation about the communication ownership, like you said, right? I expect you to talk to your stakeholders and collect feedback directly from them. I can help you do that, but I expect you to own that. Yeah. Right? It's not up to me to do that. It's up to you to do that, to decide when and how you do it. And of course, I can support, but it needs to be your responsibility. And this is one of the things that we need to take into account to our PO coaching, right? Like the way we coach the POs needs to be around that, setting expectations, agreeing on what we are there to help and what are the things that maybe we need to support for a minute, but then we drop because it should be really owned by the product owner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think we're talking about successful product owners, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the next question, right? Because now we need to talk about the opposite, the mirror image. What might have been the best product owner you've ever worked with? Describe them for us.
Yeah, the best product owner I've worked with was the product owner who actually was in charge of stakeholders, but her main objective was, okay, how can I connect the developers with the stakeholders? So we had this major release in a telecom company, and the telecom company had, of course, also some physical stores. So what she arranged was doing a sprint review in the shops. So not at the office, in the shops. And making sure the developers were there, and we had tablets and all stuff, and gather real life feedback from the customers who just entered the stores. And I think that's, for me, the best product owner. The best product owner makes sure that the developers and the stakeholders are connected, that they get firsthand feedback, right?
Absolutely. And this reminds me, as you said just now, the feedback, that working with product owners, we need to start developing this ability to really shorten the feedback cycles. First, to make them faster, more frequent, right? That's the most obvious. But then the second is also, as you said, to shortcut the communication line so that the development team or teams, if there are several in the product, get the feedback directly from the people using their product. And one of the key aspects for the productivity and the impact of a team is the ability to collect that feedback, because they know what to do once they understand what the problem is. Yep. But if they get multiple levels of translation between the customer and the team, they'll end up not knowing what the real problem is and therefore proposing solutions that don't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. And that was as a Scrum Master. So what's my role in it as Scrum Master? I was having frequent discussions with the product owner on, okay, so how can we shorten the feedback loop? How can we increase the amount of customers, amount of stakeholders in the sprint reviews? And then because we had this common belief that we need to shorten the communication loop, communication lines, we could be creative. And then she was like, oh, how awesome would it be in the stores? And I was like, oh, how awesome would it be if they had tablets to do it? And then, okay, just make sure we can arrange it. So that's how Scrum Master, we are responsible to trigger those thoughts as well, right?
Absolutely. To help them imagine what could be possible if we just made the effort to make it happen. That was a great story, Ziryan, and a great example of what Agile is all about, like creating those feedback loops, shortening the distance between the development team and the real world outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So we're getting close to the end, Ziryan. It's been a wonderful week full of insights, ideas, and great stories. But as we are getting close to the end, where can people find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn. They can find me on one of my websites, scrumfacilitators.nl. And Vasco, you also get a scoop. We will also have a conference in the Netherlands in November. So that's also a very nice opportunity to connect as well. But feel free to connect on LinkedIn or visit our website.
Absolutely. And we'll put the link to all of those three in the show notes so that people can easily find Ziryan, and as well as the conference that will happen in November 2022, just in case you're listening to us in 2027 or wherever. So Ziryan, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your generosity with your time and your knowledge.
Yeah, thank you, Vasco.
One more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast is over. But there's a lot more we have to share. We have developed our own membership site where you find a community of active and engaged Scrum Masters. In this site, you get access to exclusive content and get to interact with us, your podcast hosts, as well as the best Scrum Masters in the world. Join us at scrummastertoolbox.com/podcast and keep this podcast free of advertising. See you next week for one more week full of Scrum Master tips and tricks. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.